What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Countdown Scouting Network. I'm your host, Joey Garcia, and today we're going to get into the NFC West division, starting off with the San Francisco 49ers. All right, so their first pick was in the third round. They had a couple third round picks. Jair Brown, the DB from Penn State. He's 5'11", 205 pounds, and he was a decent pick here. I thought it was a little early just because he's not the most fluid athlete. He doesn't have the best instincts when it comes to zone coverage. So I think it's fine. I think that there's some things that you might just have to accept from him, that he's not going to be the best single high safety because he's not the most athletic and he's not that big of a ball hawk. He is always around the ball. Um, he does a good job coming downhill against the run. He does a good job being the second defender to the ball, depending on where the ball is. But to ask him to sit in zone coverage, to ask him to be a Skynet safety, that's probably not what he's going to be able to do for you. So I gave it a C minus. I think he's a good pick. I think they're going to find ways to use him, but not the greatest pick. This next one is, again, they took a kicker in the top 100, so I don't really have to talk much more about it. You guys know how I feel about that. I think Jake Moody is a very good kicker. And if you got him in the fifth round, I would love that. At pick 99, it just kind of hurts me a little bit because you never know when you get these Roberto Aguayos who they end up taking. I believe he was a second round pick and you just don't pan out. I think there's a. I just. I myself don't feel comfortable taking a kicker in the top 100. So that's all. Another third round pick. This is their last one, I believe. It's pick 101. They ended up taking Cameron Latu, the tight end from Alabama. I gave it a D minus. I didn't like this pick either. I thought there were better tight ends left on the board. He's 6'4", 245 pounds. He's good with leveraging against defenders, meaning he's good with knowing when they turn their hips that he needs to turn the other way and setting up his routes and breaking off of the stem of the route. He's good with that. But he's not the most athletic. He's not going to separate very much. He's not the greatest blocker, but he can get away with some things as like maybe your second tight end or a chip blocker. That's probably all he's going to be, is that, and then kind of underneath routes, he'll end up catching that kind of stuff. He's not a high point guy. He's not a red zone threat. So I didn't really understand why they'd get him in the third round, other than obviously he's going to be their number two tight end. But I still, again, I thought there were better tight ends available at this spot. Then we jump all the way to the fifth round. They got Daryl Luter Jr., the cornerback from South Alabama, USA. I gave this a C plus. I thought this was about where he needed to go. He's 6 feet tall. He's 190 pounds. I think he's got decent arm length as well, where he can play outside. He's very instinctual and he's always going towards the ball. But man-to-man coverage is not going to be his strength. He also is just okay at press. That's something that you might be able to work on because, again, that's technical skills. That's hand placement. That's being able to keep your feet moving when you try to press and you try to jam at the line. So those are things he can work on. But I don't think he has the hip fluidity to necessarily be a great man-to-man player. He's going to be good in zone to start out with, so you'll put him in as maybe the fifth defensive back, sixth defensive back if you go to any of those kinds of looks. And that's about it to start off. Maybe he'll be a little bit of a special team player as well, but in the fifth round, I like that pick. Another fifth round pick. They ended up getting Robert Beal Jr., the edge rusher from Georgia. He's 6'4", 250 pounds. His first step is really quick. It seems like all the Georgia players, they're taught very well the first step, which is perfect. Just making sure they keep their pad level down, making sure that first step is explosive and not too far upfield. He's got good power at the line of scrimmage, and I think it has to do with him being able to get into guys' pads first, as well as having good pad level and really striking with his hands. If he doesn't get his hands in first, he does struggle to deconstruct and break blocks That's something that I've seen. And he also doesn't really have any pass rush moves. So that's, again, another piece that you can develop. And he's not going to be expected to play early. He's a fifth round pick. So it's a developmental piece with a lot of things that a lot of good habits that he already does well. So I like this pick a lot as well. Sixth round pick. They end up getting D Winters, the linebacker out of TCU. I love this pick. I gave it an A. I think I had him as my linebacker 5, and I believe I had a fourth round grade on him. So getting him here in the sixth round is really good. He's 5'11, 230 pounds. I think probably, you know, probably could end up putting more muscle on him, taking away a little bit of his fat, but he's already bricked he's already built like a brick house anyways that's fast as well. His burst is really really good. He has good lateral agility. The thing that I would like to see from him is his first step. Being able to run read first is something that he kind of lacks a little bit of, but he has good leadership. Also, he just doesn't break off tackles, or excuse me, break off of blocks very well, going sideline to sideline. If there's people come, you know, guards coming up to the next level and they kind of get on him, it's hard for him to get off of that, as well as when he's blitzing through the A gaps. If you get your hands on him, he struggles to get off of those. So they ended up getting another tight end. This one in the seventh round, Braden Willis. He is 6'4", 240 pounds, and this is kind of more the tight end that I expected from them, especially with them already having George Kittle. He is very athletic. He's kind of built like a wide receiver. He is not going to be able to block from in line right next to tackles unless it's maybe a chip and then get out in space, or a chip and then get up to the next level. I think he's going to do a good job blocking cornerbacks, though, or any defender that's going to come in and guard him in the slot unless it's a linebacker coming down. So that's what he can do. I know they run a lot of wide zone, and so they're going to expect their tight ends, even their slot tight ends, to block. I think that's something he can do fairly well, and he's super athletic. So I think him being your number 2, Cameron Latu, I'm not really sure where he'll go, but I like this pick a lot better. And then this is probably my favorite pick of their entire draft. Ronnie Bell, the wide receiver out of Michigan. He's 6 feet tall, 190 pounds. I gave it an A minus. He is a very refined route runner. That's probably his best trait: route running, quick area explosiveness. His run after catch is really good. He can't really fight off jams, but Kyle Shanahan is good with getting his guys in motion, his playmakers in motion, so it's hard to jam them, as well as lining up in the slot, so it's going to be harder to jam them as well. And then also contested catches. He's not a contested catch guy, but you get him on bubble screens and he's going to do some excellent stuff. You get him in underneath and intermediate routes. That's where he'll also work his magic. So I like this. I think he's going to be a guy who they'll be able to get, I don't know, they'll feed maybe 40, 30 balls to this year. As a seventh round pick, I think he'll get some contribution on that offense. So very good pick. They had one more pick. I believe this is their last pick. It's Jalen Graham, the linebacker out of Purdue. He's 6'3", 220 pounds. He's kind of more just going to be your third down linebacker, someone who they put in coverage. He's good at guarding tight ends. He's got the body where he's not going to get thrown around by them, but he's also quick enough where he can continue to stay with them. Zone coverage is one of his specialties. He's very good at the pass game. Once it comes to trying to defend the run, that's where we run into a little bit of issues. He can't play inside, he just kind of gets clogged up in there. He doesn't have the instincts for it. He's not a great blitzer, so he can't just go straight A gap to A gap. He's going to have to play out in space. That's where he is. He's a space linebacker. And if that's where they put him and they trust him to just play a specific role, I think this is a really good pick, and I think they can utilize him a little bit. Probably just a special teamer to start out, maybe get some third down packages as the year goes on. Yes, and that is it. That's the last one for the San Francisco 49ers. So I appreciate you guys stopping by. Go ahead and leave a like if you enjoyed it, and put down in the comments if you disagree with any of this. Tomorrow we will be doing the Seattle Seahawks, and then we'll continue on with the NFC West. Once we finish that, we'll finish out this series with the NFC South, and then we'll move on to taking a sneak peek at some undrafted guys. So appreciate you guys stopping by, and I will see you next time. Peace.